Because I think that that's the whole part of it, right? Not having a plan and like staying in the moment. And I know, like, for me, that's something that I have been struggling with forever,
Yeah.
is to kind of really just not plan everything, because it's my, control issues that are coming up all the time.
Yeah, it's definitely a control piece for me too. And it's also, yeah, it's like filling in those unknown pieces so that if other things come up, I feel like I can manage it better. Like knowing that, you make your lunches the night before and you have the groceries you need, and like that's warming to be like, okay, it's not something, it's almost like I think about it in advance and I don't have to think about it later. But that almost takes you out of the moment at the same respect too, right? Because then you're already on to your next thoughts.
Yeah, I know for me, it's the like, the taking the deep breath, and like there's an anxiety piece for me to having everything planned out all the time and wanting to like not have a plan as much, because I think that I don't know. Yeah, I don't really know what it is, but I know that it's something that I certainly struggle with all the time. So I have planned, not planned moments,
Yeah.
which is, that's a plan in itself.
And I think that's part of society. I think that's how things have changed nowadays, is that you're used to being on a 9 to 5 work schedule or whatever those hours are, and your commute takes this much time and you have to do this morning routine. So we are like pretty regimented in what we do, and it is very much on a time clock basis, right? Like leave the house at 8 a.m. for work, get to work for 9, like work from 9 till 5, get home by 6, have to have dinner ready for the family. Like you have to almost schedule in those little pieces to have it. But now, like for me being working from home now, it's very different. It's more like as long as we have a meal, we're doing good. It's a
Yeah.
very different mindset, and you don't know what's going to be at the grocery store, and you don't know what's um if your favorite meat or food's going to be available. So you're just kind of going with the flow, and it is freeing. It is definitely freeing in a way, because it's almost like someone's taken that control from you and you can't really fight to get it back. It's just like, okay,
Well, yeah, and then it's funny, like, and then you bring up the control pieces of it. Like, a lot of people are struggling with that control. So, like, what are a few things that you think that people can do that will be, I guess, freeing in a way, or to kind of feel like, either they have a piece of that control back or not focus so much on it?
yeah, it's a great question. I think it really depends on the individual. Like if it's a control piece or an anxiety piece, there's parts of your day that once you plan, you feel better no matter what, right? Or if you're a list person, writing that list of your to-dos for the next day, sometimes that's enough just to put your brain at ease and put your mind at ease. But I think it's kind of an eye-opener to see the pieces that we actually do have control over and the pieces that we don't, and what's worth it. Like, is it worth having every single minute of your day planned, or is it better to say, okay, when we get home from work or we get home from this, like we're just going to kind of take it easy and see what happens. And maybe that's it. It's planning, like you were saying before, it's planning some of those unplanned moments, like um, maybe not planning dinner to the extent of what the whole piece will be, maybe knowing that you're having chicken with something, like taking little pieces of that planning away and just seeing how you cope with it, and if it's enough to kind of keep pushing you forward, or if it's too anxiety driven and maybe there's some other place in your world that you can get rid of that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I was watching, oh, who I love? Jay Shetty. And he gives like so many amazing tidbits of advice. And like one of the things that he had said on an interview somewhere, it was about thinking about everything as a recipe right now. So it's just focusing on one piece at a time and just doing that one piece. And then from there, then everything will come together. But if you focus on the whole thing or the whole task or the whole day or the whole month or because we don't even know where we are at this moment in time. But if we just focus on the pieces, everything will kind of just come together the way that it should. And that really spoke to me, I think. Like,
yeah, that speaks to me as well. Like, it makes you think of that balance, right? Of instead of the whole, trying to balance the whole piece, it's balancing your individual pieces of your world to make them flow nicely. That flow, we always come back to flow and balance. I feel like those are always two huge topics of conversation for us, but trying to find that balance in like the body, soul, spirit, mind, like all those kind of pieces, and then bringing that together in our real world, and being in the moment. I think that's such a huge piece that we miss out on, and something that we've maybe been gifted at this point, is that, you know, you're not really supposed to be out and about. You're home, you're doing your thing, and now it's time to be more present in the moment. Like, pay attention to your cooking if you want to get specific with recipes, or pay attention to actually folding the laundry. Like, just be in that moment and enjoy it, and turn the rest of that wavelength off in your head and just experience it. And I think that does a lot for our brains too, when we're able to stay present and not be planning the next 10 things that we're going to do. So I really like that idea of just picking those little pieces, looking at a recipe instead of the whole picture.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that too. I think too, even this like moment in time, I know that it's come into my awareness quite a bit, and it's you know, the whole gratitude piece, being grateful and finding little things to be grateful about every day. And then secondly, it's about, you know, just, you know, maybe the things that you took for granted that, you know, that are really coming into my awareness right now, and about, you know, just how important, you know, certain individuals are in your life, or that sort of thing. And, you know, one thing that maybe lacked for me, I was always so busy working that maybe I didn't, or not that maybe I didn't. I know that I struggled with, you know, that element of play with Jaden and that sort of thing. So that's something that's more on the forefront of our minds right now. And then that's something that we're trying to do more of, that maybe I didn't have the time, and now, because that's so important, you know, mentally for him as well as me, it's to kind of bring that play back into our lives a little bit, that I think got taken away with the everyday routine of life sometimes.
Yeah, I think you're right on. It's almost been a blessing in disguise. Like, I think we're in week 3 or 4 now of being home for me anyways, and you realize at the beginning it was so anxiety driven. Like, I was physically pacing. Like, you probably could have seen the tracks in my house of where I was walking around the island and the kitchen and down the hall and back, like, just like, what do I do with myself? And now, I mean, I'm settled into a new routine, if you will. I mean, there's no timestamp on my routine by any means at this point, but it's very different, the things that we appreciate. And it's almost not, like, it's twofold. It's the things that I miss for sure, like seeing my family, seeing my friends, and reevaluating how important that actually is to me. And, you know, coming home from a stressful day at work and not wanting to see those people just because mentally I'm exhausted. And now I'm like, I need those people mentally. So it kind of, it helps you see both sides of things. But I'm also seeing this as, now, when I do go back to real life, you know, if we call it that, like, when you go back to all of this, going back to some kind of a different social norm, what is that going to look like for each individual person? Like, am I going to go back to racing from here to there? Like, I really don't know if I will. Like, at this point, again, being week 4, like, we're probably still a few weeks, if not a month or so out from, you know, going back to that norm. I think that life is going to look very different for me specifically, and hopefully for a lot of other people, because there's so many things that I was taking for granted, like enjoying your time in the shower in the morning, not rushing through that, not having to, you know, like, being present, I really like doing a meditation in the shower in the morning and letting the water be the thing that cleanses me and helps me start my day fresh. But it's like those little things that we were just doing so robotic. And now that you have the time in a different sense, it's those pieces that I realize I've taken for granted, and that I really don't want to miss out on once things change.
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely. And I think too, for a lot of people, not just you, but that this is definitely going to change, the whole world and the way that, people are even potentially communicating with each other and, hopefully their families, and that, we take that awareness and that we, don't forget this, that we use it as an opportunity for a lesson and, take it with us to, the next stages in our lives.
And it's funny because when we talk about like enjoying those simple things in life, I'm a huge Starbucks buff. Like I love my Starbucks. But I can't go and get it. Like I live way too far. I'm at least half an hour, maybe 40 minutes from a closest Starbucks. And that's not practical for me to be doing that. But it's funny how a lot of those pieces end up being materialistic pieces of the things that you're missing out on. Definitely friends and family for sure. But sometimes it is that coffee, or it's that outing to the movies, or it's going to the mall. Like it's those little pieces, but it's very much a materialistic piece. For me anyways, that's more of a missing, because we're able to get creative with the friends and the family and using these different online systems and being able to connect with people on like the house party app, and we use Zoom a lot. And even for Dave, like he's on with all his buddies too. And so it's kind of cool how we've made time for those things that are really important, and how the world as a whole has gotten so creative to be able to, promote and push some of these pieces where we can all connect, not physically, but still like face to face.
Exactly.
But it's that materialistic piece right now that's really standing out to me, of the going and the spending the money and the going and purchasing of things, when there's really so many experiences we can have still socially through this, or with our family in our own homes. So it's quite interesting to look at those small pieces that we take for granted and really dive deeper into what does that look like and what does that mean, and what's the attachment to those pieces.
Well, and that's exactly it. It's attachment, right? And is it, are you associating it with, that I know you love Starbucks, but a lot of it's that time for yourself because you're very busy. So when I think that, it's you getting away and, having that moment to yourself that is just yours.
Right.
So could that potentially be, the one thing, like, yes, that Starbucks piece is material, but is it because, you're missing with, the changes now, are you missing that little piece of, or that opportunity for you to be alone? And I think that that's something that a lot of people that, especially, families that are missing that a bit of alone time right now when you can't really be alone because you're
right.
stuck in a house with everybody.
Yeah, that's just it. And I mean, not all of us have big mansion houses either, so we're in very close proximity to our loved ones, and especially having little ones at home. When Ella's over, she needs that attention, and we love to be able to play with her and be a part of that too. But it changes your world. Like when she's, the weeks that she's here, and then the other weeks she's at her mom's, it's very different in our household, with having a child here and not. And she's 10, so I'm trying to think of some of those other parents who have the younger ones running around who are more dependent than a 10-year-old would be. And then on the complete opposite scale, those older kiddos, I don't know what you're experiencing, but with the teenagers, that social piece is huge for them too. And going out and those moments that, when we look at it being that materialistic piece, maybe it is those moments of being alone and getting away from other people. So it's a hard balance, again, depending on what age your kids are, or family members living in your house too.
Yeah. Well, and then again, it all comes back to balance, right? Trying to, balance your everyday life, trying to balance this new normal, trying to balance, financially, or being a teacher when you aren't one, And I can attest I'm not a very good one.
Yeah, math has changed.
Oh, I know. It's pretty bad when you have to YouTube how to do something when you already know the answer.
Yeah. Yeah. The method to the madness.
Oh, I know.
But yeah.
But yeah, I thought, like, I know that you and I were talking and we thought that it was a good idea to kind of get on here and just have a conversation. Because I'm sure, a lot of people are, a lot of people are dealing with, the same things and the same challenges that we're dealing with.
Yeah, and I think the big thing that we keep coming back to, and especially with, our Crystal Clear Wellness group and trying to support just with little quotes along the way, is really diving deeper into what's going on. And that's where Crystal and I really take advantage of each other, is we question each other a lot and push each other to really, really go deeper into those moments and those missing pieces, if you will. Like my Starbucks might be my alone time. That's really valuable. And how am I now adapting that alone time into my day-to-day world? And I think that's really maybe my message or my takeaway from this is those pieces that we're missing. Maybe, me, I'm a journaler through and through. I'm a journaler. But maybe it's writing those pieces down that you're missing and really reflecting as deep as you can with it. Is what do I love about this? Like, why is it something I'm missing? What do I get from it? And then when you get those answers, maybe it's looking at, okay, well, how can I do this for myself at home? Or how can I get creative and do this with a friend? What do you think about that, Crystal?
Yeah, no, I love that. And it really goes back to that appreciation piece that we were talking about before, and, that gratitude piece. And it's really like, I know I journal as well, and it's just focusing on those little moments. And, there's a million things to be grateful for every day. So especially if you're having a hard time, and I know that anxiety is a big thing right now, but, bringing your awareness to those things that you're grateful for and writing them down and just rereading them if you have to kind of just make it seem a little bit easier. And then knowing that everybody's going through the same thing right now and everyone's going to get through it. And,
And the other piece I like about that with the journaling is it's so concrete. So there are things that are easy complaints, like having to do dishes, having to do laundry. But if those are things that, are coming up for you, try flipping it. If it's easier, our brains naturally go to that negative side of things, right? They naturally go to the, oh, woe is me, pity party. That's just how our brains tend to work. And that's why we always push that gratitude piece and looking for that. So if you need to start off with, I don't get to see my friends anymore, then, write that down, do a little dash. And then on the other side, what's the positive to that? I'm home, I'm safe, I'm healthy. I have friends that I can connect with in other ways. So sometimes it's starting with from a different mindset. We're all at different places in our journey, and we can start with the, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that. And I find for me personally, sometimes that gets repetitive. Have a hard time getting creative and really valuing those little pieces. It's easier appreciating them more. But starting sometimes with, this is what I'm missing out on, and flipping it around to see how that is actually something you should be really grateful for. That might be a good little tool.
Yeah, I love that.
Your system. Yeah. But I think, Crystal, we should probably sign off now and connect again later. But I'm wondering if we should do something around meditation for our next video for everyone.
Yeah, I love that. Perfect. Well, it was nice seeing you. I miss you.
It was nice seeing you too. I miss you, but so grateful that we're able to connect through this format, and grateful that we're able to still have our great community together and reach out to each other. So it was nice seeing you today, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Okay, talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.